I make some of the most exciting things imaginable with just paper. And today, I've got something special in mind. Inspired by the buzz of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk's epic rematch and the whirlwind of Christmas that just passed, I thought, why not host my own heavyweight showdown? But this isn't your typical title fight. Two legendary titans of Christmas facing off in a clash for holiday supremacy. That's right, I'm talking about none other than Santa Claus and the Grinch. Two icons, one ring. Let's see who comes out on top. I start with two crumpled balls of paper, wrapping them snugly in tape to form the sturdy foundation for his face. From there, it's all about shaping his character. A nose is crafted and added, followed by the spots where his twinkling eyes will sit. Next comes the mouth guard and, of course, the mouth itself, glued on to set the jolly tone. But I'm far from done. This face needs some personality. Cheeks are built up to give him that timeless warmth. Eyelids are added to frame his merry gaze, and a prominent forehead takes shape, complete with a few head wrinkles for that wise and timeless vibe. Once all the details are in place, everything gets sealed with a layer of tape, smoothing out the edges. Now comes the iconic finishing touch, Santa's beard. I layer it on, creating the fluffy, flowing texture that's instantly recognizable, and give him a matching mustache to complete the look. With his face full of character and charm, it's time to switch gears and tackle the mischievous master of mayhem, the Grinch. Let's skip the long-winded head-making process, shall we? Nobody's here for filler. I know my strengths. Jumping straight into the body, I start by wrapping more paper in tape, forming the base for Santa's upper body. Then it's time to bulk up the lower half, because let's face it, Santa's always been the picture of power, wrapped in a warm, jolly package. In my mind, he's not just big, he's strong, sturdy, and full of presence. So why not lean into that? Once the two halves are securely glued together, I move on to the finer details. A floppy chest takes shape, adding that extra layer of personality to his frame, while collarbones are added to give him a bit of anatomical flair. Finally, the entire structure gets a sleek, taped-over finish, tying everything together and giving Santa that larger-than-life physique he deserves. With this step complete, he's shaping up to be the heavyweight champion of holiday cheer. Next up, it's time to give Santa a proper back. I start by packing lumps of paper into his frame, just enough. Balance is key. Santa's strong, but he's not a bodybuilder. So to add depth, I layer variations of twisted and coiled paper along different parts of his torso. It's a mix of sturdy and soft, the perfect representation of a guy who's as strong as he is warm-hearted. Next, it's time to tackle the arms. Because what's Santa without a set of powerful mitts ready for action? Staying true to this bulkier, heavyweight version of him, I keep the arms simple and rounded, leaning into that classic chubby charm. No need for overly intricate details here, just enough to make them sturdy and believable for a man who carries the weight of the holidays on his shoulders. Now, let's talk strategy. Taking inspiration from both fighters' stances, I decide Santa's going to be throwing a solid jab, his arm poised mid-punch. Meanwhile, the Grinch? He's quick on his feet, dodging like the sly trickster he is. This dynamic gives the build some movement, making it feel alive and ready for action. Oh, and since both of these legends are fighting shirtless, don't ask me why. Just roll with it. Santa gets a pair of nipples. Yep, they're a detail you never thought you'd think about, but here we are. And with that, Santa's all set, and I can move on to shaping the mischief and madness that is the Grinch. Let's see how the green meanie stacks up. He's got a fight to dodge. I start by adding layers of paper to create those signature wrinkles across his green, sinewy form. His chest is built next, rounded out just enough, and then sealed with tape for a smooth finish. And yes, his nipples make an appearance too. Because hey, it's a fair fight, and Santa's rocking his, so why not? With the torso complete, I move on to his hands. Keeping it simple, I craft slender, pointed fingers by wrapping thin strips of paper in tape. They're long, lean, and just a little menacing. Perfect for a Grinch who's always ready to grab the spotlight, or someone's presents. Once attached to his arms, I bulk them up a bit more, layering paper for volume and wrapping everything into shape. Satisfied with his hands, I set them aside for now. The mittens, simple, straightforward. I shape them up, wrap them snugly in tape, and add a clean wrist wrap for that finishing touch. Each glove is glued securely at the ends and assembled into place, ready for action. Fun fact, I gave Santa's gloves a little extra size, because let's face it, he's the heavyweight champ, and bigger gloves mean bigger punches, or so I think. Now, it's time to tackle the legs, starting with bundles of paper wrapped tightly in tape to form the base. These sturdy limbs are then attached to Santa's frame, and I throw in some glutes, because, let's be honest, Santa skips no leg day. To give those thighs their iconic heft, I layer more paper, building up their shape before moving on to the lower legs. Gluing on more of that paper wrapped in tape, here calves are added to give a bit of definition, and the whole structure gets sealed with tape. Next up, the pants. I measure them out precisely, gluing them into place, making sure they hug his form just right. Any gaps or seams? Those vanish under another layer of tape. I even add a few creases here and there to suggest movement. Santa's about to step into the ring, and his outfit needs to look dynamic. Once that's done, I construct and attach his belt, the finishing touch to complete his look. Oh, and let's not forget his Christmas hat, crafted with care and ready to perch proudly atop his head. Santa's looking every bit the champion now. All right, so to keep things fresh and spare you from the monotony of watching the same steps over and over, I'm turning the next bit into a montage. All right, let's step into the ring of details. Time to tackle the boxing shoes. Starting off, I shape the paper into a proper shoe form, giving it that iconic athletic silhouette. Once wrapped up nice and tight, I move on to the details that scream, "These are not your average sneakers." The design takes inspiration from the classic Boxing Hog 2.0, a sleek and formidable choice, but I make them a bit beefier for Santa. It's a nod to the original, but let's just say it's legally distinct. No lawsuits here, folks. Once the shoes finally start to resemble something you'd find in a boxing gym, I add the laces, intricate and precise. Afterward, the shoes are securely attached to Santa's feet. Let's move over to the Grinch's footwear. His kicks are inspired by the Nike Macho Mai, lightweight, agile, and perfect for a nimble fighter like him. Now it's time to dive into the foundation of this showdown, the base. No fancy textures or over-the-top details here, simplicity is key. I start by wrapping the entire surface in tape, creating a smooth layer that'll make painting later on a breeze. Next, I shift my focus to constructing the corners of the ring. The poles come first, sturdy and strong, with just enough give to support the ropes. I make precise cuts into each pole, allowing me to attach those classic boxing ropes with ease. For the finishing touch, I add the corner pads. I'm not sure that's what they're called. Then comes the fun part. I poke small holes into the base and forcefully position both fighters in their respective corners. There's no gentle coaxing here. They're firmly planted, ready to rumble. Once they're in place, I pull them back out because now it's time to break out the brushes and add some color to this stage. Let's get painting. Beginning with a pristine layer of white for the canvas, clean and bright, setting the stage. I move to the corner pads, giving them a bold splash of red, adding that classic boxing ring flair. To keep things gritty, a subtle dusting of brown is sprinkled on, giving the whole setup a bit of character. Onto the stars of the show. Santa starts with a rich red base coat, while the Grinch gets a vibrant green treatment. No surprises there. I circle back to Santa, layering lighter skin tones and blending them with water for a natural finish. The same goes for the Grinch, but he's in for something extra. After his coat of green dries, I slather him in PVA glue. It's fur time. Out comes my trusty gadget, and with a steady hand, I apply the faux fur, giving him that trademark scruffy texture. With the fur sorted, it's time to finish their outfits. Their pants and gloves are drenched in red, as are his signature hat and parts of his shoes. I revisit these areas, brightening the reds to really make them pop. Moving along, I tackle the finer details. Santa's hat, beard and belt receive touches of grey with his facial hair, then a crisp white to complete the snowy look. His shoes are finished with a white trim, while the soles get a classic black touch. For the eyes, I brighten them up with a stark white base. Santa gets dark pupils that gleam with determination, while the Grinch's eyes take on that signature mischievous yellow hue. I add a small dab of black to the Grinch's nose, paint their mouthguards a fiery red, and finish off with a natural fleshy tone for the Grinch's lips. It's all coming together. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for, the grand assembly. The fighters are placed in their corners, the ropes are taut, and the atmosphere is electric. With everything set, the stage is alive with energy. Round 1. And just like that, we've reached the grand finale. If you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. Secondly, I'm going to need you to hit that like button and subscribe. Seriously, my life might not literally hinge on it, but it feels like it sometimes. So help a creator out, would you? Also, a quick apology for the late upload. You're probably watching this a few days into the new year, and well, let's just call it holiday chaos. I'll do better, Scout's honor. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see me tackle next. No idea is too big, too small, or too wild, probably. Thanks again for sticking around, and until next time, cheers.